So in our general deduction formula, we of course have a positive test and a negative test. And our last component deals with a negative test because it says you can only claim an expense in terms of the general deduction formula to the extent that it is laid out or expended for purposes of trade. So remember our first component said it has to be in the carrying on of a trade. So you actually have to be carrying on a business, a trade, to be able to claim an expense. But then we've got this further requirement that says, okay, now go and check if you have got an expense, to what extent does it actually relate to your trade? So if you look at the wording of Section 23G in the Act, the important part that I want you to take note of is that one that says to the extent. And what this basically means is if you've got an expense, if you've got an amount that was actually incurred and it was not for purposes of trade, or it was partly for purposes of trade and partly for non-trade purposes, then the non-trade portion of that will not be deductible. So the issue comes in, okay, but what if I've got one expense? So let's say I've got 1,000 Rand that I paid for water and electricity, and 40% of this relates to my business. So let's say I'm a hairdresser, and 60% of this relates to my private residence where I live because I conduct my business, my hairdressing business, from home. So you go through the positive test, and then when you get to Section 23G, it's going to say, okay, but listen, this portion, that 60% that relates to your private residential accommodation, you won't be able to claim as a deduction because it's not laid out or expended for purposes of trade. What you are able to deduct is this 40% because that relates to your trade. And I mean, this links us right back to our Nijmegen principle that said, if you've got an expense and there's a dual purpose, we have to make a fair and reasonable apportionment. And that fair and reasonable basis of apportionment can be, time spent, floor area, capital employed, any type of fair or reasonable apportionment method can be used when splitting an expense between its trade and non-trade options.